All right, welcome back to the Bitcoin School podcast, where we are shining a light on the stories of Bitcoin educators around the world. Today, I've got the pleasure of speaking to my man Pedro, who lives in the Dominican Republic. He's with Bitcoin Dominicana, which is also a node in the Mi Primer Bitcoin network. And I'm hoping today to get to know my coworker a little bit better and get to know the Bitcoin scene in the Dominican Republic and what Pedro and his team are doing to educate their neighbors and friends and family about the best money on earth. So welcome, Pedro. Thanks for being here with me today. How you doing, man?
Thank you very much, Trevor. The pleasure and the privilege is ours to be giving our precious time to other Bitcoiners who are doing great things themselves in other places.
Yeah, yeah. Time is very valuable in the Bitcoin community, isn't it?
It's valuable and life is hectic, but when there's a will, anything is possible.
Yeah, speaking of hectic, you're the new father of two identical twins.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
it's been a challenge, but I think God gives people exactly the kind of experience they need to evolve when they least expect it.
Man, when do you sleep? That is incredible. You're doing all these things with Bitcoin Dominicana and raising two new mouths to feed. That's impressive, man.
For me, thinking about a better future and what we could do in the present, the experience of being a father, better in the sense that I know that the steps we're taking as a community of Bitcoiners all over the world is something that's gonna make my world better because they're making our world better. So eventually, we touch base on that. So I run on that ideology.
I love it. I like to approach Bitcoin education as planting trees that we're not going to be able to enjoy the shade of. You know, we got to plant them for the next generation. And hopefully your kids won't know what fiat is, when they get to be our age.
And possibly not even have a Bitcoin wallet, a normal bank account.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I thought I would just start off with your Bitcoin origin story, how you got interested in the technology, where you're coming from, what your angle is as a Bitcoin educator, and just let us know how you got into Bitcoin and where Bitcoin Dominicana, started. I'll let you
Perfect,
just go.
perfect. So to make the story short, I got into Bitcoin because of FOMO. Well, in my past, I used to work advertising and marketing, and I ended up working on some projects that I didn't understand. And the other aspect of this world, which is crypto. I didn't understand anything. I saw that whatever it is that they were offering, and I'm supposed to be an employee working on this, was really empty. So I wasn't really being led into any fine details about how things worked or whatever. I just understood that there's something more behind that than what they were letting me know because I know fishy things. Uh, I know my intuition doesn't lie when it comes to things that I don't find to be correct. So I had already used Bitcoin to buy servers and things like that, where people used to outsource. This must have been in 2018, but nobody had ever taken the time to explain, and I was really feeling like I was missing out, and I kept running into these obstacles when I was just trying to find answers because at all this, I'm feeling anxious, like there's something going on which I don't understand. But look at the white paper, look how these things are going, these communities are flowing, and I have no way of getting close. So at this point, I'm feeling the FOMO, but I was also seeing how an industry was being born. I come from the digital advertising agency, what was my own from 2010. And I was in a
Oh,
time and
wow.
space where I saw how like this new technology was coming in, which is the typical Facebook stuff, and Google ads, all this is becoming relevant because it was just right after the dot-com boom and everybody wanted an e-commerce. I also saw how that industry didn't go the right direction because a lot of players started taking people's money, offering them digital infrastructure such as websites or e-commerce, things like that. It really didn't work. They were just taking advantage of people's lack of knowledge. So I was having a really good time with how the company was going and everything. But little by little, profits started getting smaller, clients wanted more from us. And I saw how this created a messed up system when actually these companies weren't really accredited. They were just jumping on a trend. So I kind of felt it in the air that it was going to be the same with Bitcoin. And I said, look what's going on here in El Salvador. And look how these people are thinking. I'm thinking myself, I from a background having companies and having to close them because I'm not able to pay taxes. And stuff like that. But because I work digital, when you work digital, your asset is intangible. So I couldn't heat it. I couldn't burn it for heat. I had to find a way of justifying expenses to cover tax. And I said, it's just not possible. And then running into all these other challenges of doing business, where I'm basically becoming a slave to two different systems. And I said, well, there's a new industry here, which seems to be fast payments, more secure, international. And this seems like a solution that could help out a lot of people. Let me dig more into this. And I clearly identified two industries, which is the Bitcoin and the crypto, right away from the get-go. So
Interesting.
I said, we're at this point a new industry, so that's when I decided to create this brand, Bitcoin Dominicana, and I also have Crypto Dominicana, which serves as gateways. One for that crazy other world, so scammers don't get so popular. Instead of inform people because the people gotta do what they want at the end of the day, and I agree with that. And I should be told how to spend my value. So we created these two websites, and the community started going. With this, we were able to get people from abroad coming and having events here at a point where we had no infrastructure. Started doing events. We got support from a few brands, and that precisely work on the ground is what helped me identify my style of working with people when it comes to the orange pilling and education. Because in life, you can be tough with certain things. Like, I'll be tough with you to teach you a lesson about not drinking and driving. But when it comes to Bitcoin adoption, everyone has different motivation.
Yeah.
Some people will take it easy and it'll be an easy pill to swallow. Some won't. But they both have something in common. They are human beings. They are part of a system. They probably don't necessarily know this. It's not a question of being aggressive, but they having empathy, and I think that's one of the pretty things that Bitcoin community is getting involved, because having this ideal of how you're supposed to teach can actually be a mistake. It will take you a step back in the sense that you are expecting too much from what it has to be. Au contraire of what seeds are, because anyone can plant a seed. And it's just a matter of getting the soil, making it rain in the pot, and what is planting, germinating it, so you need to plant. So we are, our plan was to get out there with the community, grassroots, and with the little funds we got at first, we were able to do just that. And continuing, we identified a lot of opportunities and a lot of difficulties. But for us, difficulties are not an issue because everybody thinks different and they're gonna use their money differently. So
Right.
it's just a matter of time, and leaving that seed planted, they'll eventually sun back. But
Yeah.
since things are now with Bitcoin Lightning and the fast payments, orange pilling just became
Oh
something
man.
else. Yeah,
Totally.
it
Totally.
you know the Karate Kid, the movie where Mr. Miyagi is with, I forgot his name, and they're catching flies with the chopstick.
Daniel-san.
That with Daniel-san, that whole wow factor of catching the fly with the chopstick, it's what happens when the everyday man, this
I love
tough
it.
macho, can see stuff 1 second and like what and it's fast and then you could get funny about it, and all of a sudden it becomes relevant because you see the benefit. It's no longer a thing about we have a claim. No, we have a claim, and now you have a reason to believe.
It
So
just works. Just
yeah,
works. Yeah.
it works, and the whole way we're approaching it is very unique and cool because we're not like the profile of people who would normally be involved in outdoor sports with kids and skaters and all this because we come from a corporate background. But with my whole transition to the Bitcoin world, this corporate background doesn't mean anything to me anymore. And we found ways to make this industry start growing in the Caribbean in my country. And we could see it with the new communities opening up in Haiti, how we're connecting with people in Costa Rica. And through the same process that we use with Get Dominican and Get Dominican, a lot of other communities are joining. And that brings the essence back to Bitcoin. Well, the
Yeah.
essence never left. But I think the more decentralized, the better. So we just put out there what we were doing and been very cooperative with whatever it is we could do, without going over our heads, because this technology is here to stay. So we are lucky. It's like when you go surfing. Sometimes a wave only lasts 4 seconds if you're lucky to stand up.
Yeah.
But we just caught a long wave. So it's what you have to dance. You have to
Oh yeah. We're
take
just seeing the new swell come in.
It's a
Totally.
very precious moment in time.
Yeah, that's a really interesting aspect of being a node in the Mi Primera Bitcoin network because we agree to certain things, but it's all open source, right? At the end of the day, we have the freedom to adapt the curriculum to our cultural needs, those local needs, whatever angle we want to take. Because at the end of the day, it's an opt-in system. There's no coercion, there's no forcing people. So we have to strategically figure out how the story of better money is going to resonate with people the best, and the story that you might be telling people in the Dominican Republic, the pain points, the tiny little cultural differences are totally different than what we might be talking about down here in Argentina. We're facing hyperinflation down here. We're facing a lot of uncertainty, the uncertainty of a currency competition, what's going to happen to the peso, all sorts of different things. But at the end of the day, we each have the creative license to use the curriculum for however we see fit, knowing that like all of us, we're just trying to find our best way to orange pill our neighbors and friends and family,
Yeah. And I think that's where it starts, with your closest community. In the case of what you told me right now, the adoption part, it's like a matter of almost, I would say, of life and death, because you either have to struggle with an asset that's going to drive you down, and then you have the other aspect of evolution, like the protest on evolution, are noticing that you're going to have to roll on to something else. And
Yes.
if one value is not working for you, you're gonna move on to the next one. And precisely these things are what's gonna help you identify your community, because everyone has the same bone structure, skin as human beings. But
Yeah.
we all have also the same. The most sensitive organ the human being has is his parts. When he starts lacking of money to buy his children food, or he notices that what he's worked for so hard goes to down the gutter, this person's really gonna think about his life decisions and all these situations going around the world, and all this these displaced people, and all this bureaucratic systems that
Yeah.
keep putting things in their way. And Bitcoin has the ability to let these things flow freely. We in Latin America, we see a lot of that, because the kind of the poverty that goes on in these places and the realities compare, one little comparison. So what some people are living in the first world. And besides that, these people here in Latin America are happy. We don't carry that genetic sadness and depression and anger. And I was talking to somebody about that yesterday. It's one of the things that we have to advantage, that it's the vibrant attitude people have towards adversity and lack of things that to some people are normal. And precisely is when people have little, the counterculture is born, and beautiful things start
Yes.
coming. It's conviction. It's not. And
Yes. Yeah. Man, I can't remember which podcast I was watching. Long story short, it was talking about how limited resources, circumstances where you're extremely limited for one reason or another, really fosters creativity, and it fosters a different angle of problem solving, you know. So there's so much to be said with coming from Latin America and having scarce resources depending on the family you come from, and what sort of creativity when it comes to problem solving everyone can bring to the table, just depending on their backgrounds. Down here in Argentina, we should be seeing riots in the streets right now. There's people that are really, really hurting right now. It's every day. It's getting more and more complicated for people, still. But Argentinians know how to ride out crisis like with style. You want to talk about like surfing. They know how to surf the tsunami. It's really interesting, especially for someone coming from the U.S., where there's a lot of people in the first world who the slightest inconvenience will set them off. They're totally off their game. They're soft because they've been raised in circumstances where they have everything provided for them. And it's really interesting to see when I see gringos come down to Latin America, and the slightest inconveniences ruins their days. It's like, okay, you need to spend a little more time down here and learn to roll with the punches. But
let it slide.
yeah, exactly. But just things don't work as well. Get over it.
That same point you were saying before about how in countries like this, people make the best with the limited resources they have. It's good because look how places like the DR, Argentina, and a whole bunch of other Latin American countries, when things are in order in other countries like the US and Europe, like let's say fashionable stuff, right? Well, we're
Hmm.
kind of late to that, to join that, and we've been kind of late with a whole bunch of other stuff that is trending in Europe and US. And I mean, like, there's a little bit of hope that our youth and young adults don't still have time to learn new things, because this is a thriving industry. It's not that you're learning to be in a hippie community, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Bitcoin won't be so grassroots. It's not gonna be so chilling, because
Yeah.
there's value in telling people how they should spend their assets and hold them for them. And a lot of people are gonna normalize that. And I think that we are front line to transparency. Because in
Absolutely.
the sense that we've been taught a whole bunch of stuff and things that we have to follow. But when you come from countries like this, when you follow the rules, you're gonna get run over. For example, here, you can't follow traffic laws. I mean, you have to follow basic respect laws. You expect that the other person is going to react how you think in your country they would react to this common sense. Brother, you have a problem. You have a problem.
Yeah, it's
And
better to ask for
but,
forgiveness.
yeah. And use that to the advantage, because at the end of the day, we were all a little bit frustrated with the world, the situation. Things are a little bit dehumanized, and I think one of those great beauties this community has is that we're so tech, we're more humans than a whole bunch of other crowd out there, because
Yeah.
this isn't about aggressivity or anything.
Yeah. Um, I had the pleasure of meeting the principal developer of the Aqua Wallet project a couple months ago. He recently moved to Argentina from El Salvador, and I love that Aqua wants to build a team of Argentinian developers, because they really value the problem solving angles that come from growing up in this country where fiat has failed numerous times. You know, everybody here has seen friends, family lose everything multiple times. So there's an urgency, and we have the ability to get in super early. But I love how I'm seeing more and more in the Bitcoin community this Pan American mentality. You know, where all of a sudden like people are every passing day bullish on Latin America, because this is a technology that has such a normalizing, let's say, effect on the value of someone's hard work, you know, a day's hard work, you know.
Definitely.
And it's having teams that come from Latin America also encourages that urgency, you know, where we're further down the ladder in the Cantillon effect. You know, we're some of the last people down in Latin America to reap the benefits of monetary you know, debt spending that comes ultimately from the big neighbors up north. So yeah, it's I feel like I don't know. It feels like Latin America is on the cusp of some huge changes, thanks to the fact that we've discovered how to decentralize the coordinating effect or the coordinating level of society, you know, on a global scale. And that's the money. So let me see. All right. So speaking of the Cantillon effect, you know, the Federal Reserve in the U.S. Really has the power to decide, you know, the fates of so many people. What does financial repression, you know, financial inequality look like in the Dominican Republic these days? You know, what has been your experience growing up there and seeing, you know, this inequality thanks to the fiat system?
That's a great question. Dominican Republic is very particular. I'm gonna answer that in two different parts.
Let's
Was
go.
well, again, first, what you said before about how Latin America has great talents and great teams is gonna be even more interesting, because we had a lot of talent that fled. So we had to go to US, Europe, but then all these countries started going bankrupt. And little by little, we had all this talent from abroad, which is coming back home See, there's
Oh,
maybe that whole idea about that dream, about you were dreaming you were gonna be something, but you you're just a product of that something. And that it's
we
gonna be
got a lot
very
of Dominicans in New York, right?
yeah. And all over the
Well,
world, people always think I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna leave. Well, God makes these brands, this way of life, letting you pull you out. Because that's another kind. That's where enough advertising is. Because I was literally a work. I was taking stuff and kind of using them to generate needs in people. Here we have an industry that
consume,
we're not
consume, consume.
not for me. But look, here in these countries, a lot of people grew up without basic amenities. So a lot of people have elsewhere, which allows them to be more resourceful. And here, it's a mess. Like, we live in a country that lives off money from abroad. Those people, they're biting down a chunk on them. They're biting a chunk here. By the time they finish paying off whatever it is they have nothing. Like, this country is surrounding other places where they've had a cow to the garbage can or anything. Yeah, no, brother. Here, they're gonna leave that stuff clean. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of issues regarding freedom because it moves anonymously. And then these countries, they have issues of classism, mixed with racism. And what they don't understand is that we are like a huge town, we're not like a city. So that whole worldwide thing is not really what we are, and there causes a bit of conflict. Well, whether or not, well, a lot of people are suffering with the traditional fiat system. From
yeah,
young newlyweds who are convinced into getting these loans to buy apartments, which are just their box buildings, and you can't grow your food or anything. And then, and this system that is, like, they're about to fall off the skateboard, my friend.
yeah,
It doesn't feel nice where we're standing now, but yet we have such sophisticated ways of advertising this debt
yeah,
and easy to get inside, and for everything outside that is bad. And there's two faces. I live in the city, but I also live in the farmlands. Farmlands, they don't have access to banking. They all give them a bank account and that's but then the kitchen goes with a letter that says, "Hey, I am his boss." The
uh,
phones here are limited to people in infrastructure to get their photos out, and we have bigger phones to have banking and stuff
yeah,
like that. So a lot of people they don't have that. Nobody's ever thought that, but there's constantly people around saying, "Hey, we'll give you a little quick loan because I know you're not there at the end of the month." So
uh,
they find solutions to make them fall into perpetual debt when they could find
mm,
alternative methods to generate a little bit of money, but they need to first understand how this works. Because, for example, business that accepts BTC in our eyes is also an on and off ramp. So once they get the hang out of that tool, they're being able to complement with things
yeah,
they do. And it's better for the network. The more people do this, the more convenient it is. And community supports community. I want to see them do that. I want to see them painting
yeah,
their by hand with their own, cultural identity. And for
yeah,
us, it's important to foster that identity within the country that people are in. Because people have this strong kind of advice of how to market their stuff
hmm,
more efficient. It's beautiful to see the own unique characters of these communities getting along, and it's also sad to see people here like telling me about how they've been ripped off with scams, how they've lost money
uh,
with other things. But at the same time, we have to cheer for them because when you have a problem and you accept it, that's the first best step. So, and it happened to me in the tech world where a lot of clients I used to get them because they were unsatisfied with the results from other suppliers. So unfortunately, this is sad, but at the same time, it's a driving force to make you get people who want to learn, who want to do something, who want to get out of their house, man. Because this is not only about teaching Bitcoin; it's about you being healthy. you being part of this future, which is clear. If you see countries like El Salvador, they're not worried about the future. But you see other
Oof.
countries, they're
So
they
powerful. So
yeah,
powerful. When you get rid of that worry, that existential fear of what's coming tomorrow, it takes the blinders off of people in so many ways. You know, it allows them to truly step into their personality, whoever they may be, and express themselves without, you know, being stuck on the hamster wheel with every, you know, every passing day. Your hard labor is a melting ice cube.
it is. And now with the daylighting, you're gonna each one of that little drop of sweat, you can make a worm. For us, it's very, very important that all this gets out there. Because, for example, well, I don't know how old you are at the moment, but I'm 38. I come from the time of Blackberries. So,
Oh yeah,
Blackberries
bro, I'm
came out, they
42.
were all very expensive with the direct messaging functionalities. And, dude, everybody was like, I want it. And they had it because instant messaging, amazing. So, all of a sudden,
Yep.
1,000 Blackberries come up here because one opened up. And I'm seeing the Bitcoin and all this ecosystem going on. And I'm just like, wait for it. And I'm seeing how it's rolling, and I'm seeing how
Yeah.
these cell phone shop technicians are going to get into hardware, how the people who do the
Yeah.
lottery are thinking of other ways. We have a whole bunch of kids in tech schools here. They're state run, and also they're seeing. But what I like the most is that it's very young people or people who
Yeah.
have abundant and productive years ahead, which are doing this,
Yeah.
and that's one of our motivation is to permit the path of this upcoming generation to be clear and
Yeah.
for them to believe in video, to be able to
Yeah.
freely choose what path it is they want to go on. But our responsibility as teachers, and my background is not education, so I consider myself more on the, let's call it strategic orange pilling
Yeah,
side.
man. Hey,
But
all skill sets can add up.
yes, and
And
precisely we were seeing.
yeah, one of the things I love about the Bitcoin protocol is you don't need to have the latest, greatest, whatever, cell phone, PC, whatever. It scales so well. You know, if someone has a PC on the older end, they can convert that to a node if they want, you know, as opposed to that becoming e-waste or whatever. We've got, you know, you can run a node on a Raspberry Pi. You know, we're going to be doing workshops down here to encourage seed signer adoption, like 3D printer, Raspberry Pi, a couple other bits and bobs, and you're up and running. And you can have complete sovereignty. Storing your seed trays on, you know, a $2 bolt. You know, with washers, you can hammer your seed trays into that. Everybody has access to that one way or another. It's not an elitist movement. It's grassroots. It's made for the, you know, the third world. I hate saying that term, you know, but it's made for the not industrialized world just as much as it is for the Wall Street bros. You know, talking about ETFs and day trading and whatnot.
That's a great point. I love to think about this as a career has dirty kind of movement because
Love it.
I see a lot of guys who can't do anything anymore. And here we are in these supposedly third world countries, turning on fires, turning off fires, doing all kind of things that our forefathers would be happy to see us do because it is part of our nature. Not this convenient stuff to bring you down and make you have collective consciousness for what some corporation wants to teach you. I mean, that's okay if you want to go down that path. And
Yeah,
I
to
don't.
each their own, right? Gustos son gustos.
Yo prefiero lo otro. I rather have the other stuff. I like my liberty. I like my third world country. If, in case I don't want to pay the bills in my house and I want to grow 20 mango trees and plantain and have 40 roosters, I could do it. Nobody's going to say anything. They won't take away my house.
I
And
love it.
that gives you a lot of feeling, I'm here. This is where I belong. You are in your house. And you don't have that strange sensation breathing back for your neck. Oh,
Right,
what what's
right.
going on?
It's moving away from consumerism.
Yeah.
It's moving away from having that boot on your head. It's getting you back out to touch grass, to make fires, to grill, to be out and about with your kids, in the beautiful Caribbean sun. It's really ironic because it's world-changing technology that actually brings you into the analog world a lot more, and allows you to express your humanity, way more than we've been accustomed to over the past 20 years,
Bliss.
I'm the same age, I'm 42, so I've seen people become more and more isolated thanks to all sorts of things, the social media and all those contributing factors. And
Overstimulation.
ironically, yeah, dopamine burnout. People's dopamine receptors are just absolutely fucking fried,
You used to get that skateboard when you were riding a BMX.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got to show you my bike sometime. I converted a 90s mountain bike into a little bit of a BMX hybrid for my 6'2" frame. So
Look, I love those BMX handlebars on our mountain bikes. That's a whole other conversation for
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
for another day.
Us 80s and 90s kids reliving our childhood.
The best way.
Um,
I wanted
yes.
to one point about what you were saying before.
Yeah, let's go.
About Bitcoin and how we live now, because you're an expat now. I'm mad. So what does Bitcoin
I'm
have?
Argentinian technically. I have the passport, but yeah, I'll use that label.
I mean, you're somebody who's living in a new place. So
Yeah.
it has a lot in common with these countries. What it is, it teaches you that there's a way to do things differently, and it's okay. And
Love it.
and I'm fine with that, man, too. And people only understand when they come to places like Argentina, like here, Costa Rica, and a whole bunch of other places. You still find these little spots that tell you humanity is not lost and Bitcoin is in its waters here because this is fertile soil for things to kick off. And I wanted to put something out there that for us, community, it's super important. And if we have a way of helping communities elsewhere also, let's do it because we can't waste this time in history being quiet. Now we have
Yeah, man.
to start doing positive things that everyone else sees that's happening, get that visibility out there, and get that leverage of being in the community. To get in, it's just a matter of feeling like you want to get out of something else. And
Yeah.
these doors never close.
Yeah, absolutely. We're at this specific point in time where we're still a part of very few people that can talk about the new technology, articulately, and be able to express that. Being, part of the Mi Primer Bitcoin network, it's so awesome. Like we were working here with Siglo XXI, and you were like, "Yeah, count me in." When you guys need some help, I can tune in and help you with your classes. With your online classes, because these kinds of voices are still pretty limited currently. Like being able to lecture on the technology, the history of money, and be able to frame the necessity for people I think it's really important to, again, going back to just get your hands dirty, jump in and help anyone who might be, whatever, needing your services one way or another. It's so fulfilling, it's so fulfilling to have this network of, doers, builders being right behind us. I feel like an Avenger, with the whole team behind me,
You
and we're
are a
from all
superhero
over.
right now.
Yeah. We're living that superhero dream, right? Like we're giving someone a superpower to supercharge their savings, and help them have a more stable future, and hopefully get to that point like El Salvador where tomorrow is not a big deal anymore, like we're all more tranquilo because
Mucho más
the
tranquilo.
rising water raises all boats.
Así es.
Yeah.
I put a tweet the other day saying, when the School and Pedro went into power, and anyways, congratulations. I hope this is an example for the rest of the world that you
Yeah.
don't have to do the things the same way, because too
Exactly.
much power in one central thing only leads to trouble, and the only ones who are gonna
Yeah.
suffer are those small peoples. Nobody, rich ass oligarchs and bureaucrats who manipulate governments in the margin of the law. They're not gonna feel it. It's the little
Yeah.
peoples. Well, have some struggle already on a day-to-day to do their thing, who are still smiling. You can't allow all these things to continue forever. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, that brings up a good point. Another reason why I'm bullish on Latin America. My roommate used to work for an automated car company, and they would talk about how in that space everybody is really bullish on places like Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, where the infrastructure is not as developed because it's easier to fill that void, And throughout Latin America, yes, we've seen authoritarian governments left and right, but generally speaking, the governments down here are less heavy-handed, especially compared to someone coming from the U.S., where the state in the U.S. has never been bigger. Humanity has never seen a state apparatus like the U.S. But in Latin America, it's easier to move into those voids, where the infrastructure hasn't arrived or it failed, where those monetary networks have broken down. It seems like a no-brainer for Latin America, and then you mix that with everything that we've talked about: creativity, different angles to problems, people knowing how to solutions
Yep.
out of scarcity. There's just so many reasons to continue with this message that Latin America has nothing but solid days ahead of it with the adoption of this technology. So we're coming up on about 45 minutes. I wanted to hit you with one last question. What I gathered reading your blog, checking out your guys' tweets, and trying to get to know you just through your online presence, it seems like you're taking a two-pronged approach. It's education, and then also recognizing that education has to do with businesses, developing those circular economies. It seems like some people are in one camp or the other, whether it's education or circular economy. It seems like you're embracing both. Why is that?
Okay. Because people who give me their time need something back. So for circular economies to work, you need people generating money in Bitcoin. And then you need people accepting. So I understand also that we are an island. So unless we don't get money from abroad, we shouldn't be fabricating our own pesos. So taking that into consideration, my very rudimentary economics, I understand that the more businesses here are able to cater to, for example, tourists, foreign companies who wanna, come here
Yes,
and rent a car with a drive, rather being able to accept them, it's gonna make them more competitive. And I
absolutely.
think at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. And us being able to help them understand this, take our time to do it, should be for a better reason than we want to make a lot of people download wallets. No, we're literally doing it for the benefit of a country, and that's why we collaborate with other countries as well, because this stuff comes from inside. And sometimes, even spiritually, we understand that the road is within ourselves. So I think this is a way of fixing something and getting people to ride on what could possibly be the last cool ride people are going to be able to take before we go to hell in a bucket.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, yeah, being from a small island nation, you're extremely cognizant of your dependence on the global economy. You know, oh, we can't make computer chips, you know, on our islands. We got to find a way to coordinate to transact with the outer world. And if we discover the most efficient way to coordinate, to interact, to transact with the global economy, I mean, why not? Why not dump rocket fuel on that coordination level, you know, with outside economies?
Exactly that you said
Yeah.
before, rocket fuel on it. We're putting steroids on Bitcoin adoption. Well, just quickly, I used to work for advertising and marketing for products of mass consumption in the food and pharmaceutical industry. And I said, wow, how about if we could take some of this promo stuff into the normal world through Bitcoin and a whole new funky visual identity. Just look what I have here in my look what I got here. Look how pretty. With our flag.
Oh, from the Maxis Club.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Look how they just person got nothing there. And
from our hermanos in España.
Yep.
Love it.
And today, expect stuff from them soon. And we just gotta keep doing funky stuff with what we have and getting it out there. And dear Bitcoin, it's better to say sorry than to ask for permission when it comes to orange.
Yes. Yeah, love it. I love that approach. Yeah. For those who aren't familiar with the Maxis Club, they are an entity. They actually make one meme a day. That's their proof of work, and they crank out memes in both English and Spanish that are bangers almost every day. The level of meme warfare that they're carrying out is amazing. Love that. Love that setup. Yeah, I love it. There's paradigm, there's this what's the word I'm looking for? Paradox, I should say, where like Bitcoin simultaneously connects you to the global economy better, but also creates stronger local communities at the same time. It's a win-win. You know, why would we have to choose between one or the other, you know? The game theory is really it's almost science fiction. It's hard to imagine a technology that gets everybody rowing in the same direction. Everybody's pushing in the same direction without it being a Ponzi scheme. It's such a stark contrast to the fiat world, where if you're doing well, chances are there's someone on the other end of that transaction that might not be doing so well. But here, like the rising waters raise all ships. Yeah. Well, we're coming up on an hour here. Is there anything else you'd like to rip on before we get going?
No, for me, it's been a pleasure and a privilege. We're gonna definitely collaborate more. I already gave you a little bit of insight to the kind of things we're gonna be rolling out soon. You are the first person to see that, and
love
let's see. We could do more positive for the world, and Dominican Republic bars are open. For you and your family, we are chilling.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, would love to circle back with you guys in a couple months here, and we can check in and see how things are going, and you know, record another rip and see how Bitcoin education and circular economies are having their effect on Latin America.
Let's make it happen. Trevor, pleasure.
Let's make it happen. Well, I'll have all your contact info in the description of this video down there. For anyone that wants to reach out to Pedro and Bitcoin Dominicana, we'll have everything locked and loaded for you. So next time you're on the island, you can reach out to the right people. Thanks for your time, Pedro. Really appreciate it, and we'll be in touch, bro.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.